Today I'm going to be showing you some different types of fountain pens, for the most part cheap ones, how to make them work, how to get done what you got to get done. The video is not on calligraphy. I can't emphasize that anymore, so if that's what you're looking for, just turn it down. Turn it off. Higgins, we're going to be using cheap ink for cheap pens. The best ink you're going to get pretty much is called Parker Quink. Red, black, whatever you want. So we're going to be using ones without cartridges. That means that you suck them up. A cartridge fountain pen, you can find some pretty classy ones, but for the most part, nice ones take ink you suck up. A cartridge looks like this, and on the other end is something that is like soft, and that soft thing breaks on top of a sharp thing here, and you get ink in the bottom. This is actually like almost a disposable one. It's a Sharpie. You can get this at Walgreens. So basics, you're not going to want to make a mess. So what you were going to do first of all, and I always seem to, like, even a little bit of ink, get a cloth here, a handkerchief at Walmart Works. They're near the belts and wallets and stuff like that. Write a word on it so that if it's backwards you know which side is which, and just fold it. Now a paper towel is meant to soak up your spills and stuff like that. You want something that's going to soak it up right on the surface instead of soak it up all the way through. So that's how you're going to be drying off your nibs once you submerge them and put them in the ink. We're going to start off with not a no-namer, but a Parker. Parker seems to be excellent with quality, and I'm as far away from the parakeets as I can get. So as quality goes, Parker, performance, all that stuff. I've never used one of those gold pens that cost $3,000, so I can't tell you how it compares to them. But I can tell you that I've been using this one forever, and it's consistent, and that's everything in a fountain pen. Some of them you'll write and then it'll fade off, and then you'll keep writing, and that fading off you got to fix. Especially in calligraphy, that can be a bit of a pain. Another thing, I like a fine, semi-fine, medium tip to it, and what that means is when you write how big it gets. I actually have one fountain pen that has a head on it that doubles what you write, so it actually has two lines for every one you make. It slices it in half. You can get those at Michael's. This Higgins ink you get at Michael's. The Parker ink I get online. You can find them at like expensive stores in a mall like King of Prussia around me. That's like a real expensive mall. They have a store where they just sell pens. They have like those $1,000 pens that are all gold and stuff like that. But let's get to it. You want to completely submerge the tip of the fountain pen. Well, not the tip. You'll find on fountain pens that they have a ring, for the most part, around the end of the nib. This guy has a ring. You want to submerge right up to the rim of that rig, just the full nib there. Now, I also find that the first time I suck it up into the nib is not the time I get the most ink. This will be one of the methods, which is the one here that has this little lever that you push up, and that's what sucks up with this plunger the ink. The next one I'll show you will be a screw one. Those take a little bit more time, but they can be a little bit more efficient depending on if you get lucky, because I only buy the cheaper ones next to this Parker. This Parker I got for around $40. May have gotten ripped off, but depends when you buy it, I guess. I try to wipe it on the opposite side of the rag as the red. So I'm going to put it there. And as you can see, if you get about half to 2/3 full, you did a good job. Don't try to get it until it's all the way at the top. It's never going to work unless you do it a lot more than I do. So we're going to put it back together here. And like I said, calligraphy, they're going to want you to go straight up and down. Basically, the rule of thumb is, as long as the nib is angled or straight up and down, you'll see a line down the very center of the nib. As long as that line lines up flat with the paper, it's going to work. But calligraphy is straight up and down, and that's not what I do here. So this one actually has a ball at the tip of it. So that holds the ink, and that's why I love the Parker so much. Tap it a bit. Just get it down there. The other problem with the Parker is once it gets ink in the tip, and that's not straight down. I'll write that again for you. Once it gets ink in the tip, you can take the ink out and it'll still be there forever. I've heard of clogging them. I've never really ran into the problem with any of them, but you can do it. That's why you want to get it all out of there, and keep, as long as you hear air out of there without like a squirt, then the ink is out of there. So now that the ink is out, you'll see with the Parker, it'll still go on and on and on and on. Just gotta trying to do this without being on a table. There you go. You can never quite get it all the way out, but you know, other people have other methods, so just ask them. For the most part, I get some pretty colorful comments on the videos, so feel free to make fun and make all the corrections you want. I'm not going to listen to them. I'm not going to write back. Just going to keep the video up to waste the people's time who have bad things to say, and take up the time of people who might find some sort of value in what I have to say. So this is going to be one of the twisty ones. I also think this nib is a little bit on the medium side. So we're going to completely submerge it to the rim. And we got it about halfway there. You got to realize that this thing goes all the way down to about there. And I got ink. Rule of thumb is, as soon as you take it out, wipe it off. Okay. Now, with the cheap ones like this guy's about $10 from Japan, eBay. They seem to catch on pretty quick. You don't have to do this with them. And like I said, the one you write with the most is going to be the one that, I mean, with a pen, like they all have the same head. With this, you have to get used to the part you hold it with as well as the head. So that's why when people do calligraphy and write with fountain pens, they tend to stick with the one they like the most and curse the others. But Parker's an excellent brand. You can't go wrong with them. So we're gonna get these out of here. Okay. I'm gonna clean off the nib. Because remember, you want to clean it off when you load it and unload it with ink. Nice and clean. Still got some on my fingers, but screw it back on. see if we got any juice left. Yeah, we got a lot. The more vertical you hold it to, you're gonna get the best flow of ink, obviously. Then we'll go for the standard Sharpie one, which in my opinion performs actually very well, and you get like next to no drippage out of it. It's actually a lot like writing with those very needle thin pens, those ballpoint ones, precise, precision, whatever they call it. Why not? We'll go for the last one here. My little snake skin guy. This is another Japanese one. This one should be pretty thick as far as the font. Pretty bold. And that was a nice register there. I don't know if they use register in calligraphy, but they use it in something else. And that Sharpie one does offer refills of that ink, so go for it if you want. Try to get this vertical here. And I like this because it's a lot like the Parker, as you can see, almost identical, if you could say that. And then we'll empty it and see how much juice it keeps in it. Now, Parker ink is real thick and bleeds through thin paper, but it's used for like those official documents, stuff like that, where you need a nice signature. Clean this guy off. Yeah, this reminds me of the Parker a lot. This is what my Parker usually ends up like. So we're gonna have to squirt more out, even though I don't see any left in there. And this is a lot easier to squirt out, these up and down ones, than the ones you screw. The ones you screw tend to be a little bit more painful when you're working with them. But like I said, you get a good one that screws, it's going to perform even better than the ones that suck it up straight up and down. And we'll see. And like that, it never ends. That's how my Parker usually works. So now that you guys seen the Japanese, the cartridge Sharpie, all that, the ones that are cheap, they do work. You just got to make sure you dry them all the way out after you're done using them. The Sharpies tend to hold up pretty well. If they do dry out, all you got to do is get like some warm water on your rag here and wet that ink on the tip, and it's just like new. So you guys take it easy, and I'll see you later.